Good night, everyone. Board of the directors. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ricardo Duran. I'm one of the member, which is analyzing the drug advertising research project. This is a very interesting business project because we can get the inside of the data and in order to elaborate the best result for the company and following the requirements of the client. I'm going to show you what was the insight that we can get through that. So the first step that we made was to part or to begin with the data that the client provided us. So the data was in an Excel file, which was a questionnaire. And in the question in the survey, they ask question to the population studied that, for example, what's your gender, what is your age, what is the highest levels you complete, what is your annual income, uh, what is your spending, for example. On average, how much do you pay for beauty and hygiene products or service per year? For example, in reinforcing, which is the important, which is one of the important thing in the survey. On the scale, what role, if any, do these advertising have in reinforcing a specific gender stereotype? And empowerment, for example. Empowerment is a very powerful um, variable that the company can have because they can handle, they can drive, and they can build a strategy for the company in order to get the most sales in this case. So in average, what percentage of advertising that you view or hear per day currently utilize empowerment advertising? So the other thing that the client provide us is a table, which is this one, organized by gender, age, education, income, spending, frequency, stereotype, reinforcing, transform, empowerment, etc., etc. And we do, table with the language of Power BI, which is a tool, that amazing tool that we're going to use for to analyze the data. So here, then after that, so we prepare all the data, and then we need to go to the exploration. So in the exploration, we have to select what what type of data we need in order to provide the best result for the client. In order to provide the best result for the client, we need to make to ourselves some questions. So one of the questions was, for example, how many ads does a company deliver per day? How many percentage stereotype are by gender, for example, or what is the impact? So how is the company using, in the people view, this advertising, to influence the people's mind. And for example, a very, very, critical point here is how much does a male spend in products and highness? For example, how much does the female spend in products of highness? So then after that, so we create a dashboard, which is this one. And in this one, we have on the top of the dashboard, uh, for example, total ads, stereotype ads, ads by gender, stereotype ads in percentage, and the average of empowerment. So additionally, we create a reinforcing statistic, transforming statistic, and empowerment statistic here in the bottom of the Power BI portion. So here, as you probably know, because of the previous projects, we have an 18 males, which is the 18.1% of the population, and 86 female, which is the 81.9 percentage of the population. So the stronger group here, as you can see in this figure, is uh, the female group. So in the female group, we have an very, very interesting, average of spending. And if you see here, there is, for example, um, this is correlative with the as more money they have, more money they spend. Okay, but not always is going to follow that rule. Uh, for example, here is an interesting insight. For example, females which spend $3,000 to $40,000. The average of the spending is $982 approximately, and which is around 3-2% of the salary. Is a very important number, because guess what? Look, the age in the average, average of spending and stereotype by age. The stereotype by age and the spending is in the 19 to 25 and the 26 and 30. And look, the gap is going up to, right away to 96 to 100. And what about the level of education? The level of the education is a master's degree, some undergraduate courses, and bachelor degrees. The most important level of education involving in this tier of income. Going back a little bit, so we have this stereotype ad have a normal and current fluctuation, but this JD level of education, which is the 82%. The 82%, is dropping off the average spending from $1,708 to 55 to 550. Sorry. So here it's very interesting to see how the JD level of education drop off the stereotype at in percentage. So here, when I just start with the presentation, I told you about the empowerment. So look, the number here, 4.80%. The female think that those empowerment are is really influencing them. So again, if we see the reinforcing statistic, we have for female and we have the transform here. So if we are going to for example, agree, we have the reinforcing role by age, and we can see how is as soon as for example, the limited reinforcing role is 7%, then we have an increment on the 26 and 30 group of age. And look at the 31-40 is 100% influential. So you can see how the influential is going through the group of age. Another thing interesting is that, and in the reinforcing, the percentage of reinforcing role by education. Look, influential appears again in the females group here in the reinforcing statistic. In the look, 79%, 100%, 100%, and the 50% here in the master degree, and some undergraduate course, look, 50-50 with the drastic. So you can see how, is the reinforcing role by education showing us, divided in some undergraduate courses. In the reinforcing by in the percentage of reinforcing role by income, we see that how the most look how the previous range that we choose is 30,000 to 40,000. You see how is the influential percentage going and the limited. Talking about the transforming statistic, we have how is the females agree, neutral, somewhat agree, somewhat disagree, and strongly agree. Uh, the agree is in every time present, okay? The value which is somewhat disagree, with a little of impact in this gender is that somewhat disagree, okay? So this is why, because of the people, because of the female, sorry, because of the female have more convincing way to buy this kind of products, they probably take care of more of contrasting with the males, which we are going to see it in a few minutes, uh, about the appearance. And the transforming empowerment adds by education. You see how the transforming empowerment influence in the females with, for example, extremely agree with the associate degree, which is a totally different number for the ads by age in the age. So look, for example, in the high school diploma. In the empowerment statistic, we see that the group of age of 19 to 25 is at 6%, and the 26 to 30 is a 7%. Here we have the brainforming and transforming data table on the corner, on the left, on the right corner of the dashboard, when we see how the influence appears in this gender. With the empowering by spending level, we are situated in the $80,000 to $90,000 and the $40,000 to $50,000. So going back a little bit and talking more, and to talk about the male gender, this is a small group, but it doesn't mean that this group doesn't have uh, you know um, not important insight through the data. So look, is the average of empowerment higher? 3%, around the 3% more than the female. So on the here you can see in the average of the spending, the 90 to 2000 and 90,000 to 110,000, and the 110,000 to $130,000. The ad frequency here is 65 and 6 and 5. What happened with this number? Let us see. Okay. This number shows that, for example, the average is spending and stereotype ads percentage by education in males is associated with the highest number, followed by the some undergraduate course. So the average of spending and stereotype ad percentage by age is at it has a increasing tendency. And going a little bit quickly, okay, and with the women has a peak, down a little bit in the 92%, and then it's going up again to the 41 and 50, the group, and then it's dropping off a little bit in the 51 and over. So in this case, it's a little bit more exponential. In the female, is more uh, with uh, with peak and valleys. Um, the behavior of these stereotype ads is totally different between each gender because of the amount of people involved in the survey or in the measure instrument. Uh, going around the male on the reinforcing statistic is much more easy to see it because there's only one age group, which is the 19 to 25, and is influential again, showing us that that is the most strong value here. And then in the transforming statistic, we have the somewhat agree and the strongly agree, dominant in the transforming empowerment ads by age. This is the result on the transforming. The strongly agree, which is this one, have the 33.72. This is the, sorry, this is the here. Okay. We have, yeah, that's why it looks weird because I was like, okay, no, this is the female. No, it was my fault. I didn't change the gender here. So in male, okay, in male we have, okay, right now we're talking the same language. Okay, so is somewhat agree with the 47%. And this is the transforming empowerment ads by age, and the percentage transforming empowerment ads by education. So look how is the behavior of this somewhat agree, which is in the high school diploma and the master's degree, tight in the numbers, and the somewhat is always present with a considerable percentage. The percentage transformed by income, we have a table, and the summatory of all these values is, the 100%. So the empowerment statistic, we have men. Okay, I changed it. Okay, so this is the 19 and 25, which with the 7%, the lowest one, and the highest one is 3140. The empowerment ads by age, the people think, the male think that the influential is more in this age, and empowerment by spending level is in the highest one. And here we can see that influential here appears again in the same way as the female. So these are a little bit of the insight that we can get about the data in the drought analysis. In one of the in each dashboard, we can see a lot of data. In the each dashboard has an importance to the company, and all the data related with each of the dashboard it was selected, very carefully, seeing what is the impact in the result and what will be the result if we can, play a little bit with it. So the most important thing here is, the male are, a weekly group in the population, and the female, the behavior in the female, and the average of spending, and the stereotype ads and the percentage. We have this peak here in JD, and because the average of the spending dropped from the $1,700 to $550. Okay, so the spending was located here is located here in the high school diploma in women's. So in which age? In the 19 to 25. So as well, and how much money does that group, has is the 20 to $30,000. These are the magic of Power BI. We can select how is the average of spending in the high school diploma, how is the total of the average of the spending, how is the average of spending per ad and per stereotype ad. So as well as males, we have, for example, this, uh, we have, for example, um, how the men, for example, we have this drop here, for example, with the, I move, let me try to get it down again. Okay, come on, you are here. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, with the males, we have, the biggest one with which is the associate degree is the, in the males represent, a few, um, a little of the chart. And in average, the average of spending in males is much more, fewer than the females. In the females, we have $740 in total, and in males we have the 239 and 2 cents in average per ad, and 2 cents average per stereotype ad. Um, the average of empowerment in the male gender is much more than the women, and the stereotype ad for men is 90% and the for women's is 96%. With this type of dashboard, we are looking for a result that the company can handle different situations, and they can, draw in strategies in order to get better results in the future. I hope you, board of the director, enjoyed the performance and the presentation. If you have any questions or any piece of advice, I'm, open mind to receive it. um, we can sit down and see again all the data again in order to have another result that you can, probably want to know. And we are open to see, whatever you want to know about the data. So I think you can uh, enjoy the presentation again, and we can speak and talk about the project later. Thank you so much. Have a great night.